Hi there, good evening. Welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back on the Saturday night for an episode of What's New. So I've chosen a band called Long Earth. The album is called Ordinary Life. They're a Scottish band. So we did have a band that had Scottish in the name, and now we're having an actual Scottish progressive rock band. So this album was released July 4th, 2024, so this year, of course. It's about 63 minutes in length or so. It's on the, I think it's called the Grand or the Grind. I think it's the Grand Tours Music. Yeah, Grand Tours Music label. So playing in this band is the two new guys, David McLaughlin, bass, and Alex Smith, drums and triangle. Then you have the other three guys who've been on the band for a while. Martin Haggerty, lead and backing vocals. Ronaldo McKim, electric, acoustic, and ambient guitars. And Mike Baxter on piano, synthesizer, Hammond organ, and the C3. So there are, I believe, 8 tracks on the album. Most of them are fairly long. So they have one song that's below 5 minutes. Everything else is above that. And then you got a couple of 10-minute kind of long pieces. So there is, so the basic feel of this album is it's very neo-prog sounding, lots of synthesizers, lots of that kind of melodic synthesizer kind of atmospheric kind of flavor to the album. It's slow and melodic at points. There are some more quieter tunes, but pretty much it's just a straightforward prog album. I would say there's not a lot of range on this, so you're not getting a lot of different sounds throughout the album. It's all pretty consistently the same throughout the album. Vocals are the same throughout the album as well. They're kind of a mid-range sound to them. They're very clear. The production is excellent. The backing vocals are good when they're used. They're not used dominantly, but they are used sporadically throughout the album. The guitar is pretty good. It's melodic, slow. Gilmour, in that kind of David Gilmour range, but not really sounding anything like him. So it's very different. So they call it, I think they call it ambient guitar parts. His solos are good. They're melodic, not overly creative, but definitely good and solid. So overall, the album is a solid album. I would say it's I wouldn't say it's a strong album, but I wouldn't say it's a weak album either. It's kind of probably just, if I was going to give it a rating, I'd say about 6.5 here out of 10. It does have some good parts to it. There are a couple of catchy songs on it, and but it tends to be very melodic, very symphonic, and pretty standard for a progressive album. So there's almost a feeling of almost a boring part to it. Not terribly boring, but a little bit of that because it's so similar on mostly all the tracks. So we'll just break the songs down a bit so you get a kind of a little bit more of a specific feel for the album. So it starts out with a song called Fight the Hand That Bleeds You. This is one of the better tracks on the album. Again, very symphonic sounding, keyboard, synthesizer dominant, this particular track. Vocals are again prominent as they are on just about all the songs. They're clear and very medium sounding, mainstream, nothing too high, nothing too low, very clear though. The rhythm is basic but strong, almost a kind of a Genesis, and then there were 3 feel to it, but not as sophisticated as that, but still fairly similar to that in style. It's melodic, staying I would say very medium range, not getting too heavy nor getting too loud on the symphonic part. They keep everything pretty close to the cuff, I think. The solo is very prog-like, but within its sound. So not a bad first track for them. I did like the opening track. The second track, I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was as good. It's called Morpheus. The guitar and the synthesizer opening. This is more of some of that kind of ambionic, acoustic sounding guitar here. Slow, melodic sound. Vocals again, a medium clear range to them. The lyrics are good. Actually, I didn't speak much about the lyrics, but the lyrics on the album are pretty good. They're clear, concise. They tell stories. I think there tends to be a little bit of a political edge to this album. The first track starts that, and there's another track on the album that clearly is pointing to a specific person. So we'll move along on that anyways. So it's got a kind of a slow melodic guitar solo to this particular track. Yeah, I didn't mind it. Life 1, which is the first of the 3 life parts. The piano opening with some very symphonic, atmospheric background. So you got this piano with your synthesizer, keyboard kind of atmospheric background to fill in that kind of hollow gap that you get when you just have piano. It's melodic, slow, and clear and good in production, the whole song. Vocals are medium, clear, solid. They're solid, as all of them are. The lyrics, again, interesting. The piano dominates throughout this entire track. I didn't mind it. It was okay. It passed. The next song, which is called Sand, around 7 minutes in length. This may be the best track on the album, in my opinion. Heavy melodic guitar, some drum dominant opening. So you got this drum beat with some heavier melodic guitar for the opening. Then you got the vocals, once again, clear in a medium range sound to them. The backing vocals are a little bit more noticeable on this track. The production is good. The guitar is a bit on the heavier side for this track, probably heavier than the other songs. And it has a catchy riff. This is maybe the only track that I thought that about, that I thought that it had a good solid riff with. And then it's got a heavy solo which dominates from the middle to the back end of the song. I thought this was a good track. I liked it. It was probably my favorite on the album. Okay, so now we're going to do the back half of the album. Starts out with probably the longest song called Shadows. It's got a kind of acoustic, slow guitar picking part to it, more ambionic guitar if you prefer. It's a slow melodic sound to it. The vocals are kind of a little bit more emotional than some of the other tracks on this one. Again, medium sounding, clear. Feels a bit like a one of those Supertramp songs that you might get that's kind of lots of piano and it's slow and melodic, a little bit of that. I don't think it sounds like Supertramp, but it definitely is in that same kind of range. The guitar is a little slow, melodic, but a little bit in the background here, not as predominant as some of the other songs. And it does build and becoming more symphonic and more atmospheric, and then it slows towards the end with a melodic, heavy guitar solo right near the end of the track. Yeah, I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad. The next track out is called Life 2, The Arc. So this is the second part of those 3 Life songs. Opens up with a keyboard dominated with some guitar parts filling in. Slow, melodic, and clear vocals again. It picks up and gets a little bit heavier as it goes along. The lyrics, again, emotional. Maybe a bit of a love feel to it. Like it's like a relationship feel to it. It's the one track on here that I think gives that. Vocals again dominating with some good backing vocals on this particular track. The next track out is called Moscow. This is clearly a political song. The bass is dominant in the opening with a opening and is prominent throughout the track. Vocals once again prominent strong. It's got a real political feel. He's obviously talking about the leader of Russia and getting his part out there. A bit more up-tempo than some of the other tracks on the album, so a little bit faster pace, a little heavier. Overall, I think it was one of the better tracks, probably the best track in the back half. And then the final track, which is Life 3. This is Empty Shores, the final track in the Life trilogy here. It's slow, melodic guitar, synthesizer-driven opening, a melodic, heavy drum with an organ as an accompaniment. So you got this drum beat with this kind of organ feel to it. And it's a slow, melodic guitar solo with some symphonic keyboards and synthesizer parts throughout the back half of the song. Yeah, pretty unmemorable song, I think. There's like 3 or 4 songs on the album that are a little bit on the unmemorable. The Moscow one stands out because of the lyrics, and the other song that I liked quite a bit, which was Sand. This one stood out because it had a bit of a catchy riff to it and had a nice slow guitar dominating middle kind of heavy solo part towards the middle of the song, which kind of made it stand. And the opening track was good as well. So overall, I would say it's not a bad album. You know, if I saw it in the store for $6 or $7, I might consider getting it, but to order it online probably going to cost way more than I want to spend on this album. So anyways, that's it for my review of this album by Long Earth. The album title, which I forgot already, is Ordinary Life. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe if you did, and don't forget the notification bell. Got any comments about this album? If you had a chance to listen to it, let me know. You can actually listen to it on Bandcamp. That's where I was listening to it from. Pretty interesting album. I was actually probably the strongest parts of this album were the production was clear and the vocals were clear. The vocals I thought were one of the more dominant parts to the album. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. We will see you next week when we will be doing another album from What's New. I believe it will be released the day before, so we will talk a little bit more about that tomorrow when we do an episode of this week. So I hope to see you all throughout the week, and have yourself a good night, and take care, and goodbye.